The final 11 episodes of Ash Ketchum's adventures are about to begin, and a new hero will soon rise to take up the mantle of Pokémon anime protagonist. But is the connection between these two characters more than meets the eye? Let's talk about it. Hey Robert, it's Charles. How are you today? As you're probably well aware, the era of Ash Ketchum is about to end. And to quickly sum up the big news, on December 16th, the Pokémon Journeys anime effectively ended with 3 big announcements. 1, that a one-off special titled Faraway Blue Sky will air on December 23rd. 2, that the final chapter of Ash and Pikachu's adventure will unfold in an 11-episode capstone series titled Pokémon Aim to be a Master, kicking off on January 13th. And 3, that a brand new Ashless Pokémon anime series will begin in April 2023, featuring 2 brand new protagonists. Yes, both Riko and Roy have been named as the new protagonists of Pokémon, the new series, but the existing promotional materials definitely put Riko at the forefront more so than Roy, and elements of her design have led fans to wonder whether or not she may be connected to Ash Ketchum in a very special way. To cut to the chase, the questions people are asking are as follows. Could Riko actually be Ash Ketchum's daughter? And if so, who is the mother? The plan today is to unpack these questions by 1, evaluating the evidence fans have brought to the table, 2, discussing who Ash Ketchum's wife and Riko's mama would be if the scenario does indeed play out, and 3, delivering a verdict that addresses the implications this would have for the anime. And as always, it's going to be a good time, so kindly subscribe to edge us a little bit closer to the big 100, and let's bust out the juicy nuggets. There are 3 main pieces of evidence that fans are pointing to as indicators that Ash Ketchum could be Riko's father, so we are going to walk through each of these pieces of evidence, assess whether the theories surrounding them actually hold water, and probably dig up some fun Pokemon trivia along the way. So let's get started. Firstly, fans were quick to point out that Riko's hairpin is the same shape and color as the emblem that graced Ash's signature hat in the original anime series, hinting at a connection between the 2 characters. Regarding the classic hat itself, we received the explanation for it way back in episode 25 of the original series, when Ash is furious at having it stolen by a Mankey because it is one of just 100 official Pokemon League cap replicas given out as prizes in a lottery that he had to mail in 1,000 postcards to win. The hat is very much Ash Ketchum's coveted collectible, but still a hallmark of Kanto's Pokemon League rather than one of Ash's distinguishing in-universe characteristics. So Riko bearing the same emblem doesn't necessarily have anything to do directly with Mr. Pottercheeks. That said, given just how iconic that hat is as part of Ash's classic outfit, the emblem is very clearly intended to evoke images of Ash Ketchum to long-term fans. So while it's up in the air as to whether or not it signifies a by-blood connection to Riko, at the very least it suggests that Riko is either from Kanto, inspired by Kanto, or perhaps just an avid fan of the world's #1 trainer. Secondly, many viewers have pointed out that Riko's necklace appears to hold a Thunderstone, which could potentially be the same Thunderstone that Ashy Boy received but never used back in episode 14 of the original series. Could Ash have held onto this Thunderstone all this time and eventually passed it on to his daughter as a family heirloom? It's an interesting idea, but the reality of the situation is that that is not a Thunderstone. If we look closely at the necklace, we can see a design familiar to players of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet that appears on the hats of its terrestrialized Pokemon, in its Terra Orbs, and in other places around the region of Paldea. So I hate to be a party pooper, but far from a vintage Thunderstone, it appears to be quite simply a Terra Crystal. As such, the second piece of evidence is a dud, but it does get me excited to see if Riko's Terra Crystal has any special properties, or perhaps even a connection to the teaser's shiny Rayquaza. Thirdly, we have our new protagonist's name itself, Riko. Riko is not certainly but very likely a portmanteau of Rika and Matsumoto, Rika Matsumoto being the name of Ash's voice actor of the past 25 years, which would establish an out-of-world meta-connection between Ash and Riko. To that end, it would be something very special indeed if Rika Matsumoto did go on to reprise her role as Pokemon's lead VA by voicing Riko, switching up her act to bring out the more feminine side of her iconically strong and raspy raspy voice. But even if making that connection was indeed the intention, it still doesn't really say anything one way or the other about if or how Riko could be connected within the universe itself. However, something else that may not be immediately apparent to English speakers is that Ash's Japanese name Satoshi can actually be written using various combinations of kanji characters. And one such set of characters, meaning one's origins or one's past and child, can be read not just as Satoshi but also as Riko, which is very interesting indeed. Again, it does nothing to suggest that they are necessarily father and daughter, but it certainly does demonstrate the bond between these two characters. On the whole, the evidence that theorists have brought to the table is inconclusive at best, and the hat and name aspects of Riko's character that we have discussed could simply be respectful nods to Ash's legacy as the show's hero of the past 25 years. At this point, we know next to nothing about her, so it is hard to say. But to play Delibirds advocate, at this point in time, we've seen two potential links drawn between Ash and Riko without any information that would confirm she isn't his daughter. And thus, fan imaginations are running wild, not to mention that the artists out there have been generating all kinds of fun pieces to celebrate the possibility. So if we were to lean into the realm of speculation and to assume that Riko is Ash Ketchum's daughter, then who might her mother be? Over the course of his adventures, Ash Ketchum has built up a harem of admirers far and wide, and assuming that Ash Ketchum's future wife is a character that we have already been introduced to, if we look at Riko's physical characteristics, some possibilities are more likely than others. She has the same jet black hair as Ash, with, of course, the underlayer dyed blue, and while her alleged father has brown eyes, he could very well also have a recessive blue eyes allele that could endow his daughter with blue eyes if his partner was blue-eyed or held the same recessive allele. And more than anything, in the world of anime, children tend to inherit a split of their parents' most striking traits and clothing, regardless of the science. So the natural question to ask is, which of Ash's lady friends have blue eyes? Dawn, Serena, May, Lana, and Bonnie. Even in adult life, I just somehow cannot see Ash and Bonnie getting hitched. Lana is not nearly as significant in the broader context of the anime as the three coordinators, and May has been all but written out of relevance, aside from her brief cameo shot in Pokemon Journeys episode 132. And this leaves us with Dawn and Serena. Dawn is easily one of the most popular companions in the show's history and has returned for major cameos in multiple series, not to mention that she was the single past companion who came to root for Ash in person during his World Championship battle. That said, although her eyes used to be drawn in a somewhat brighter shade of blue, they were still a far cry from the vibrant sky blue of Riko's eyes. As for Serena, she has strikingly similar, vibrant, piercing blue eyes and the same cheery aura. Not to mention that her face is practically interchangeable with Riko's. Then again, and of course, she was the only travel companion to ever express a serious romantic interest in Ash back in the XY saga, going so far as to kiss him at the end of the series, with director Tetsuo Yajima even saying that we were meant to expect that they would end up getting together sometime in the future. So it's the vanilla play of vanilla plays, but if Riko did turn out to be Ash Ketchum's daughter, I really do think that Serena would be the most likely candidate to be her mother, assuming that Ash's wife would be a character he encountered during his time as the show's lead. That said, if we consider all of this existing evidence and the speculation about Riko's parents together, what verdict can we take away from all of this? The verdict is that the case for Riko being Ash Ketchum's daughter is sketchy at best, but even so, at this point, the case is still open. Of course, the writers bringing the romantic Ash and Serena subplot to fruition, or any of the other romantic possibilities to fruition for that matter, would be absolutely controversial. After all, the implications for the world of the anime would be enormous, because if Ash Ketchum had grown up, gotten married, and now had a 10-year-old kid, then this would also mean that the likes of Cynthia, Bonnie, Drake, and every other character would have aged 20 years or so themselves. In other words, it would completely upend the realities of every character and circumstance in the current iteration of the show, and that would be incredible to see. But it may also be too bold of a move for the anime, as it would make it much more difficult to reintroduce Ash and Pikachu should the next anime series flop, and aging up every single character in the show by decades would require quite a bit of thought and retooling should other past characters ever re-enter the show, not to mention that the anime would be completely out of sync with the universe of the games. Also, the trailer for Pokemon the new series states that across the wide world, a brand new dream and adventure is about to begin. again. And this sounds more like a lateral move to another region than a time skip, as exciting as the prospect is. Furthermore, I doubt that the writers of the anime would give up the opportunity to milk the teats off of the young world champion Ash cameos, so it seems more likely to me that if they are indeed connected in some way, the situation will be that Riko simply admires Ash greatly and seeks him out to battle him or interact with him in other ways. On the other hand, Ash being Riko's father would be about as controversial as, well, retiring Ash from his lead role in the show, something that nobody saw coming, meaning that in the current era of unknowns, even though the evidence is scant and the verdict is still up in the air, I don't think we can completely take the father-daughter possibility off the table just yet. And even if Riko is not literally Ash Ketchum's daughter, she is probably at the very least the spiritual child of Ash and the feminine forces of his story, as her physical characteristics could certainly be viewed as an amalgamation of Ash Ketchum and of the most significant women that he has traveled with over the years. Hair length and coloring reminiscent of Dawn's, bangs styled similarly to May's, Serena's piercing blue eyes, a crystal and clothes that have a touch of Misty, Lily, and Chloe in them, and Brock's jacked body. Whoops, wrong script. But it would certainly be fitting to pay tribute not just to Ash, but to all the fantastic gals who have supported him on his journey. So perhaps Riko will simply emerge as a strong original character whose design elements are merely tributes to a bygone era, much like the glasses and goggles of Digimon. Perhaps the 11 special Pokémon aimed to be a Pokémon Master episodes. Capping off Ash and Pikachu's adventure will forge a deeper connection between the two, and perhaps Riko really is Ash Ketchum's daughter. Only time will tell. But how about you? Are the theories a bunch of baloney? Is this truly Ash's daughter? Or was it in fact Big James who got the deed done? I'm curious what you think, and as always, let's chat.